So, hey everyone, hi, very good morning. As I have started my live streaming very early because of some reason, not some reason actually, there are the things that I want to do. I have thought of doing three challenges. Like one is I'm already doing, which is reading on live streaming. Another one is I have already taken yesterday, as I said in live streaming, that I'm going to create a video and will upload that same video, and not the same video actually, will upload that another video by committing myself that I'm going to learn editing skill for 91 days. Because as I know that even if I'm recording myself lots of time, but if I'm not reflecting on them, then it's no worth of creating any videos. So I have already taken that as well. There is one more challenge that I really want to have at the moment, like simultaneously with these reading plus editing skill, and one more is which is very much important, exercise. Because if you are not going to have your health, then there is no worth doing anything. I'm really sorry for my cough and cold, because today, like, I don't have electricity. As you can see, I'm recording in front of my window, and the light is completely from the sun itself. Like, it's a natural light. I haven't added any light or something, because I don't have any option, because I don't have lights right now. I'll do something about it, so that I shouldn't be able to film or record like this. So this is the second thing. The third thing is that, like, why I have started live streaming so early. Because after a certain period of time, not a certain period of time, but it's 8th day of challenge reading on live streaming YouTube. After 10 days of doing this challenge, same challenge again and again, not again and again, for 10 days, I'll start one more challenge, which is exercise. At least I'll go outside and will record myself, will give a summary what I did or how I did, like whatever it is. Like, at least I'll do that, so that, like, I will keep consistent on that three challenges, on those three challenges. Because I really want to grow, and in order to grow, you need to have your health and your growth. Mental health and mental growth, physical growth, both should be there. So just because of that, I have taken the decision. I have managed some of the things, like as I have already told you that, and I guess I didn't say, but I've been reading for 3 hours for at, like, it was like 30 days. Now it's 31st day for reading every day 3 hours, like personally. But on live streaming, I was reading. No, I can't say I was not reading on live stream 2 hours, but I was reading 1 hour or 1.5 hour as per reading. But I was doing, like, I'm doing live streaming for 2 hours. So just because of these much things, I was not getting time. Like, I also have to work. That is also the thing. So all combining, I decided that for reading, I will be reading for 2 hours. Like personally, like, completely, I've been reading for 3 hours. But now I'll read completely for 2 hours. That is the thing. But will stream at least 2 hours. That will be fixed. I'm not gonna change it, because I have already, like, committed to it that I'm going to read for 91 days at least 2 hours every day. That is my the thing, and that I have been doing. It's at the challenge, which in which we are reading Mindsight book on live streaming and discussing the things, like discussing the things in the sense, I'm the only one who is sharing the thoughts and all the things right away, because there are no lots of audience. That is the thing. If you are watching it off, not offline, like after this live streaming, so that is the thing. But if you really want to have conversation, you can join everyday live streaming, like I do everyday live streaming. It will be around 8 o'clock. As I already told that I'm managing the things. Earlier I was doing like 9:30, 9, but today it's like it became 8 o'clock, and it will be consistent, I guess. Because before that, I'm not gonna do. Even if I'm gonna wake up early in the morning, I have to do exercise, because that is that is also one of challenge that I'm going to take after 2 days, because it's very mandatory in my perspective. because if you have a health, then there is doing everything, like there is worth doing everything whatever you do. That's the introduction for today's live streaming, like not an introduction I can say, but it's kind of short summary of what happened yesterday, what I'm going to do, and what is currently happening likewise. So I guess we should start reading the Mindsight, and as we see that Mindsight is literally damn good book, because as I've been reading in that, it is being explained that we can change our neuroplasticity, not a neuroplasticity, but our brain structure, with the help of neuroplasticity. Still, there are lots of things that I don't know how to speak, like the explanation, the storytelling, and all those things. Again, I am going to improve those. As you can see, yesterday I uploaded one video where I was having short editing, not short, very little editing. Earlier, I was not even having that. I was just recording myself like these, and like uploading it as it is. It was very like not good, but yesterday I recorded it on a good way. Like my background I changed, like it's windows, and I like desk setup. That's not even like I showed the desk setup, but it was like coming. So that was kind of, I feel personally that I improved somewhere in that, like like a simple editing also takes times very much. Like if you are not familiar with editing, then you have to learn which software you have to use, what kind of things you have to do in that, how you can import the videos and all those things. Now, like you should know, then only you'll be able to like edit that particular video and will be able to export and upload. Also created the thumbnail is like literally the picture itself from a video, but I have taken it from editing software. Right now, like I'm using CapCut. I have thought about editing. I'm going to use CapCut and DaVinci. Let's see how it goes. For now, I'm feeling very comfortable with CapCut because its interface is very simple, and I was able to get quick things from that. So I decided that I'll go with CapCut for now, as well as DaVinci as well, because in DaVinci there are lots of things that we can do. I'm not sure about that, but it's being caught like that. I was trying to blur my background in DaVinci, but it was taking too much time. It was on Sunday or Saturday that I was doing. Sorry for my body language, because it's very much like frustrating, because today I bath with like cold water because of I don't have electricity. I was not able to have warm water, so just because of that I like bath in cold water, just because of my cold is being very much high now, high, or it is getting increased, something like that. So bear with me if someone is watching. I guess someone is watching. Please do comment whoever is it. But that is the all the thing that I have said, or like it was the thing that I wanted to really say about it. Sorry for my disturbance. Sometime it happens. That is the thing. So let's start a reading. Like right now what happened, I was checking my mobile phone. Sorry for that, I'll keep it aside. Like sometimes, like if you are habitual of something, then you check it on a regular basis, or unlike unknowingly your subconscious mind will find yourself, not yourself, but your subconscious mind will do those same activity that you have been doing it. So let me start reading. I was concerned that Anna was having a panic attack. We stopped the exercise and continued our session with her eyes open, and her agitation gradually subsided. She said she didn't want to discuss the experience, and she was fine now. She simply didn't like the body scan. We would wait till later, when she had developed more of an internal server to deal with upsetting sensation. To come back to that important source of bodily information, while research suggests that focusing attention on the heart can trigger both physiological reactions and an awareness of intense emotions. The specific nature of the feelings it had uh, awakened in Anne was not yet clear. As our work continued, I hoped we would learn more. There is one more thing that I really want to say. There are still lots of things that I have to improve, and I will reflect on my videos that whatever I have recorded. Like literally every video I'm going to watch, I'll try to find the time on Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to have very much time because I will not be doing any work except YouTube and all those things because I have really want to improve myself. Personally, I really want to improve myself in my health, in my like everywhere. Like I just want to do that. So just because of that, like I'm doing lots of things like recording and all different things. So that is the thing. Well, I said it, I felt so that is why I'm sharing. Sorry for that. Like, sometimes it's kind of like you are not able to, or you don't know how to speak in front of people. So it is happening, same thing is happening with me. But I don't know about like how I can talk and all those things. But yeah, it's like I'm able to like speak at least. Sometimes it happens like by mistakenly I got the tab of live streaming just because of that I thought that my live streaming went, but it's fine. Let me go back to reading. The direct body scan approach had triggered so much anxiety that Anne panicked, so I needed to use more gradual ways to introduce her body awareness. I started our next session by asking her simply to notice the movement of her fingers as she slowly opened and closed her palms. Just noticing that, I said, let yourself be filled with how the hand appears and how it feels. We repeated the walking meditation too, letting her feel the sensation of her feet with. We repeated the walking meditation too, letting her feel the sensation of her feet with her eyes open. Next, I suggested that we develop a safe place into which she could always retreat, an image in her mind that she could draw upon to soothe herself whenever uncomfortable feelings arose. At first, Anna had trouble coming up with an image. I told her this could be something from memory, a special vacation spot, her favorite room at home. On it could be entirely imagery, a place where she could imagine herself being peaceful and content, or at least safe and secure. Anne finally recalled a cow at the beach near her medical school. I used to go there just to be with the waves, she said. The sound of the waves, how they moved in and out, the curve of the beach, the sunny skies. Everything gave me a feeling of things being okay. I asked her to sit with the image of the cow for a while, soaking in the sights and sounds and sensations. Then I told her to just notice her body and ask how that felt. When she said it feels good, I went on, being aware of the body, just sense whatever arises in your experience. I wanted her to create a neural association between her mental image of a place of safety and her awareness of bodily sensation. This technique is used in several schools of body focused therapy, and it had an entirely different purpose than the imagery work I had done with Stuart. By creating that connection, Anne was able to experience and articulate what her body was feeling. She told me her abdomen felt soft, her face relaxed. Then she said her breathing was easy. She could feel her heart and it was calm and steady. In contrast, her reactive panic during the body scan, Anne was now experiencing a state of receptivity. We were harnessing her regulatory prefrontal areas to help monitor and manage her internal state. Another receptivity enhancing technique I use involves systematically tensing and releasing the individual muscle group of the body from feet to head, which helps create a state of relaxation. Still, other involve bilateral stimulation, whether by listening to alternating sounds or gently tapping on the left and right side of the body. Some researchers believe that this creates not only relaxation but also increased sensitivity to mental imagery. But Anne felt most comfortable with her image of the cow and with the breathe awareness exercise I had taught her first. We continued to practice them to give her confidence that she could go from reactivity to receptivity by her own mental efforts. I wanted to keep her experience in the body or in the body on the positive side. So next I suggested that we try an exercise with color that evokes different feeling states. I do this work with a set of eyeglasses that have lenses made in various colors. Color is a powerful emotional cue for many people, but in Anne's case, I asked her to focus on sensation in the body itself. Again, this seemed like a safe way for some patients. It's even a playful one to awaken her awareness of shifts in physical sensation. With the first pair of glasses, green, nothing happened. I don't feel a thing, just the usual, just blank. But when she put on the second pair, this happened to be purple. She exclaimed, "Wow, this is weird." Anna said she had a tingling feeling right up here, pointing to her upper chest. After that, Anna felt her body change. With each new color, red evoked energy in her limbs, like ants running up my arms. Blue a deflated feeling in her bed abdomen, like a hole. Yellow a sense of constriction in her throat, which was not a test. Each person has a unique response. The point was simply to create contrasting sensations so that Anne could begin to recognize internal shifts. Anne's initial response was excitement at her newfound ability, and we spent a good part of the session with the classes, just letting her experiment with this neural approach and find words to describe her body's sensation. Now, but when I suggested that we might return to the body scan next time, and she became frightened and hesitant. Now, I don't want to get into panic again, she said, bringing her hand protectively to her heart. Those feelings are not right. I can't handle them. I reminded her that she now had her safe places as a resource at any time, and I assured her that we would move slowly. The internal world of Annie's childhood had been beyond what she could tolerate at the time. Now she might be surprised to find that she could learn and to tolerate what had once been intolerable. Personal change, both in therapy and in life, often depends on widening what I call a window of tolerance. When that window is widened, we can maintain equilibrium in the face of stresses that would once have thrown us off kilter. Think of the window as a band of arousal of any kind within which an individual can function well. This band can be narrow or wide. If an experience pushes us outside our window of tolerance, we may fall into rigidity and a depression on the one hand, or into chaos, chaos. Let me check its pronunciation again. There are lots of hen around me. You might be listening.
Chaos.
Chaos. I have literally so much problem of my cold. Think of the window as the band of arousal of any kind within which an individual can function. Well, this band can be narrow or wide. If an experience pushes us outside our window of tolerance, we may fall into rigidity and depression on the one hand, or into chaos on the other. A narrow window of tolerance can constrict our lives. In our day-to-day experience, we have multiple windows of tolerance, and for each of us, those windows are different, often specific to certain topics or certain emotional states. I may have a high tolerance for sadness, continuing to function fairly well. Even when I or those around me are in deep distress, but even a lesser degree of sadness, whether your own or others, may cause you to fall apart. In contrast, anger may be relatively intolerable for me. A raised voice may be enough to send me right out my narrow window. But for you, anger may not be such a big deal. You see a blow up as a way to clear the air and move on. In general, our windows of tolerance determine how comfortable we feel with specific memories, issues, motions, and bodily sensations. Within our window of tolerance, we remain receptive. Outside of it, we become reactive. By now, you have probably noticed that the window of tolerance matches the river of integration, which I introduced in chapter 7. 4. The more freely that river can flow and farther apart its banks are, the better we can attain and maintain integration and coherence. But if that flow is constricted, we are constantly in danger of hitting the banks. In many cases, our well-being depends on widening the window of tolerance so that we can hold the elements of our internal world in awareness without being thrown into rigidity, depression, cutoffs, avoidance, or chaos, agitation, anxiety, rage. As we develop mindsight, our windows of tolerance widen and we can experience the fullness of our lives with more acceptance and clarity. If we move through life without mindsight, we may keep narrowing our window of tolerance around a specific emotion or issues. Then we may find ourselves either bursting the boundaries of that window and jumping into the chaos of reactivity, or avoiding situations that trigger such ruptures, restricting our lives without knowing why, not giving ourselves the freedom to escape our rigidity and empowering ourselves to grow. The widen our window to make ourselves more adaptive and at ease with a particular feeling or situation. We need to change the association that are embedded in the neural networks themselves. So there is one more thing, as you usually know though, that whenever I read, sometime I think about the things. I don't know why it happens, but there is one thing that was coming into my mind while reading, and simultaneously I was getting some of the thing, not completely thing, but I do know about that after a certain period of time. As I usually say, after a certain period of time, I'll be able to grab whatever I'm going to read, as I'm going to read it 3 times. One book 3 times. Like first time you read thoroughly, after try to understand, third time you can like get whatever you are ready. This is how it will work. The second thing is that what I was thinking about while reading, it's related to vlogging, not a vlogging, actually creating videos or being as a content creator. So I see one of content creator on Instagram, on first day when that person started doing live streaming, not a live streaming, actually creating content. First day her video, okay, her video was she's she her, okay. I was not I don't wanted to like say who was that, her or him. So whatever it is. Her videos was like literally damn good in a first day, like it went viral. But what about those people who really don't know how to record themselves, how to capture, like how to say in front of camera, how they are gonna go on Instagram or YouTube and create their own content and will upload it. They will feel very embarrassed about their content, because it's not good. As you can see, my first video or second video, or whatever the videos right now, it's not good totally. No editing, nothing is there. I'm just recording it and uploading it, that's it. Sometimes my voice is not good, sometimes my body language is not good, sometimes like there are lots of things that people don't like because it's not good. So just because of that, I thought, let's create the way I am right now. I'll improve on video itself, and I'll show that I'll give an example that you don't need to be perfect to upload a video, to create your content. You can directly go and create it. That is how it works. Like whenever if you want to start something in the sense, if you want to start creating your content, then you can directly go and create it. You don't need to be perfect to upload a video or to create a content for YouTube or Instagram. Just try it out, take challenges, and see yourself that how you are going to grow. This is how it will work. Might be, not might be, it will definitely work. Stay with that. The hearing power of presence, the presence of caring. Trusted other person, one who is attuned to our internal world, is often the initial key to widening our windows of tolerance. Because Annie did not have such relationship in her later childhood. There's one more thing that was coming into my mind. Actually, I was about to say more thing, but I didn't say because there was some other people that came and I felt like awkward. I can say like there is one feeling that was coming into me, that oh, someone is listening me, what they are gonna think about me, how they are gonna judge me. I'm talking here like in front of camera. There is no one. Like I'm creating video which will in perspective of people is not worth creating those kind of videos, because like I don't have any subscriber. I have like 53 subscriber right now, but it's like it will not go anywhere. You won't be able to grow on YouTube. Like they are thinking like that, but I don't know about that. After a certain period of time, as usually I say, after a certain period of time, if you follow the process, then definitely you are going to be on top of that particular thing. If you are reflecting on your past videos, if you are reflecting on your past experiences, and you try to improve yourself, like let's say this is my video, I'm recording it right now, the light is not good, might be my body language is not good, but might be my way of speaking is not good, I don't have any storytelling in it, I'm not making the example so that you can understand. And as well, like there could be some other things, editing or might be setup is not good, so there could be anything. So the thing is that like I don't have it right now, but I do know about it that after a certain period of time, if I follow the process, if I reflect on the things that I did earlier, then definitely there will be the things that will be improved, and I'll be able to improve myself as well. This is how it will work in my perspective. So I was telling about like people who was around me, they might think that what I'm doing, I'm just recording in front of camera, which might not be good in perspective of them. But even if I'm not gonna get any subscriber or anything, but I do know about that I am going to grow myself, like the way I speak, the way I record, the way I think, the way I script. There are lots of things that will be improved in me, and just because of that I am doing this live streaming, I am recording myself, I am creating the content, because I do know about I'm not good at the moment, and I have to make myself better. So to make myself better, I have to throw myself to do the things every day. And how I'm going to do those every day, I have to have something that will make me to do it. So I choose the YouTube, because if you are going to commit in front of lots of people, then definitely you will not like you don't want that you will lie in front of lots of people. I was not getting a sentence actually, but I take a pause. I was not saying see, like there is one thing that get improved. I'm not making the filler words. I'm taking pauses. It happens because I was reflecting on the things, and if I'm going to reflect, then definitely I'm going to grow. So the basic thing that I was trying to tell you, that if you want to record yourself, record it right away. You don't need to wait for anyone else. You don't have to wait for your perfect things. Like, you are going to do perfect. Like, if you, let's say, if you don't know how to explain the thing and you are waiting for your explanation that would be like perfect, then don't think that it will be perfect, because the thing will be perfect or good when you are going to try it. If you are not going to try it, then how it will be? So if you really want to record videos, record it, do it again and again, commit yourself. Commitment have a power. Yeah, it will make you to do the things every day, so just try doing it. There is one concurrent viewers. Thank you for watching, whoever is watching, and very welcome to the live streaming of reading every day for at least 91 days. So where I was, the presence of a caring, trusted other person. I'll try to read now by concentrating, I'll try to understand. And there is one more thing. I will remove my like words, because I don't personally feel I'm saying like, which is just making the things, like I'm just trying to make the things in the things. Let's say if I don't get something, then I try to find like and add something to it. I will try to give a best examples, which is the part of storytelling, which will be might be part of my learning skill. Like, I am going to commit myself that I'm going to take a challenge for at least 30 days, 90 days, 60 days to learn storytelling in my videos. That is how I'm going to take. Now I'm telling this because I don't know the exact storytelling, how I can make another person feel very comfortable, even if they are in, even if they are watching videos, then how I can connect with them personally with the help of storytelling. That I want to do, and it will definitely be my challenge that I'm going to take. Why I'm telling this? Because in my explanation, in my communication, there are lots of like words that I really don't saying it, because my brain just try to make the things in the sense, if I don't get something, then it try to find related sentences, and it just append that sentence with like, and it just like, I'm going to do this, like to like blah blah blah, which I don't really like. I'm going to do storytelling as well, but after these challenges, I'm not gonna take all the challenges at once. It will overwhelm me, and I'll stop everything, so I don't have to do that. Thank you for watching, whoever is watching. mm, yeah, sometimes I don't understand why I'm not able to see like what happens here. I can see concurrent viewers, but here it was showing like there was one concurrent viewer. No, but again it was like kind of thing that I was not able to see it. Okay, let it be. So let's start our reading. The presence of caring and trusted other person, one who is attuned to our internal world, is often the initial key to. I'm going to concentrate on things. The presence of caring, trusted other person. One who is attuned to our internal world is often the initial key to widening our windows of tolerance, because Anne did not have such a relationship in her later childhood. Her tolerance for awareness of bodily sensation and primary emotion had narrowed. Cutting off access to her subcortical input was once a means to survive, but now it was restricting her life. If I could be present fully with Anne, if I could let my own internal world resonate with her and remain open myself, I could help her track her sensation and uncover their meaning, widening her windows of tolerance. Recall that the resonance circuits include mirror neurons that would enable Annie to resonate with my own reaction to her. My being present fully with Annie at moments of distress could help her mirror my own inner feelings of safety. Here is a key fact about relationships. The resonance circuitry not only allow us to feel felt and to connect with one another, but it also helps to regulate our internal state. It is the middle prefrontal area at the top of the resonance circuitry that shapes our subcortical states. In other words, the interpersonal resonance between Anne and Navi could held widen her window of tolerance. She would feel safe enough to feel her own feelings. This is how, in the moment, face to face, we help one another grow and initiate the long-term synaptic changes that help us even more, even when we are apart. And by continuing with her internal reflection practices at home, the mindfulness of the breathe and the walking meditation, and I could further reinforce these synaptic changes, transforming the way she communicated with her own body. At the beginning of our next session, I once again invited Anne to return to the body scan that had triggered her panic. It had now been 10 weeks since our first session. During this time, she had been doing her home practices regularly, and she and I had developed a trusting and collaborative relationship. Exercise such as the safe place imagery and the colored glasses had helped her observe her inner world in a more objective and accepting way. She had also received a clean bill of health from her internist who had rechecked her heart and found nothing of concern physiologically. Still, I moved into the body scan slowly, giving her plenty of time to immerse her awareness in the subtle sensation from her lower limbs, her hips, her abdomen. When we came to her chest, her panic began to emerge. She grimaced and her left hand went to her chest. She opened her eyes and said we had to stop. I reminded her that whatever that sensation was, she always had her breath awareness and her internal safe place to return to. If she felt herself getting too close to the edge, she could shift into a focus on her safe place imagery of co and watch the waves go in and out for a while. She closed her eyes, focused on her breathing, and her face slowly relaxed. She opened her eyes again, looking right into mine, and said, "Thanks." I suggested she might take a few moments and just let this new sense of openness fill her. As her body seemed to settle into the chair, and I saw her hand relaxed and her face become more supple. I said that she might just notice how she could use the focus of her attention to calm her body and her mind. And I said she was ready to dive in, and we went back to the body scan. When she focused on her chest region, the panic again began to emerge. But this time, she said she could now sense it from more distant place. She had learned that she could just stay with her sensations, and that not only could she be okay, the sensations themselves would change and become less overwhelming. That's the strange thing about panic. When we lean into it, it loosens its grip on us. The power of reflection allows us to approach rather than withdraw from whatever life brings us. And when we learn to stay with a feeling, to give it its time to awareness, then we discover that feelings, even very strong and threatening feelings, first arise and then dissipate, like waves breaking on the shore. Panic is just another feeling, a set of neural firing in our brain, learning to stay open and present to it or to any other distressing feeling is not easy, but it is an essential step in moving through the fences of defense. What was revealed as Annie learned to confront and regulate her anxiety as she widened her window of tolerance. What sensation, images, feelings, and thoughts were now free to emerge. As we returned to the body scan during that session, Annie felt a wave of coldness in her chest and tightness in her limbs. Again, she said it was hard to breathe. She spent a few moments at the cove, following her breath as if they were waves on the shore. She later told me and then said that she could continue. As she stayed with her inner experience, images of her father and stepmother appeared in her mind's eyes. She felt frightened of their faces and wondered if this panic was a fear of their meanness, of how they had mistreated her. She again focused on her breath to ground her in the hub of her mind, that open and receptive state of her regulating and self-soothing prefrontal cortex. Now Annie began to tremble. Her face looked tense and tears began to flow down her cheeks. I see a picture, but it's not something I remember. It's something I've seen, something I have. It's the only picture I have, the only thing I have left. It's a picture of me and my mother. Annie opened her eyes and looked at me. I have that picture buried in my closet somewhere. I haven't looked at it in years. She seemed relieved but exhausted. It was near the end of our time, and I asked Annie if she would like to just take a few moments to sense her breathe, to let her body relax and her mind appreciate that all she had been through during this session. To make sure we had thoroughly explored her heart mediated feelings of distress, we returned to the body scan during our next session. Anna's initial sensation of panic shifted gradually during the scan. She now began to feel a heaviness in her chest and a tightening in her throat. Then tears filled her eyes as her panic was allowed to take its natural course, unhindered by defensive reaction. It moved toward completion, dissipated, and revealed an emotion that had been for more hidden in Anne, a profound sense of sadness. Now, the essence of staying present for Anne was to allow this sensation of loss and grief to unfold in their own time. In a subsequent session, we simply sat together as she laid the image of her mother holding her, the one in the photograph she had remembered. Now feel her awareness. At first, her tears were slow. A few drops she didn't seem to notice and did not wipe away. But as we stayed together with whatever she was feeling, she began to sob uncontrollably. Her body bent over as she moaned in pain. I let her sense our connections with my own non-verbal signals. A sigh, a quiet the rhythm of our breathing in sync. When she opened her eyes and we looked at each other, I noticed my own tears. I know this sounds strange, she said, looking at me now with softer eyes than I would ever seen in her. I had ever seen in her. But I can feel my mother's presence. I know she is here somehow with me. Then Annie told me she had had a dream the night before our session. I haven't had a dream in decades, she said, and this was a strange one. Dreams are the work of sleep. One of the important ways we integrate memory and emotion. They occur when cortical inhibition is released enough to allow our subcortical, limbic and brainstem region to have a heyday. Mm.
Heyday.
Heyday. Heyday. With imagination and feeling. The dream itself is an amalgam of memories in search of resolution, leftover elements of the day's event, sensory inputs while we are asleep, and simply random images generated by our brains and activity during the rapid eye movement. REM, stages of sleep. I thought it was a great sign that now finally Anna's subcortical region were sending their input into her dreaming brain, enough for her to remember these internal images when she awoke. I listened closely. In the dream, I am swimming to shore, but the tide is going out and I can't fight it. Then my legs are tight to a boat that is headed out to sea, but I keep trying to get back. I'm pulling frantically with my arms, but I'm getting more and more exhausted. The boat just keeps moving and I can't see the shore anymore. I woke up this morning and felt panicky. It was awful. I asked her to tell me more about what she had felt when she awoke, and what came to mind now. Yeah, she recounted the dream to me. I don't know. I think it's weird. Maybe I'm just too tired. But a week later, she described a second dream and also the notes from the therapy journal she had begun to keep. I'm back in the water. Now I can see the shore, but the boat is moving again. I'm going quickly out to sea. I feel like I'm going to drown for sure, but then I reached down to my leg. I think I really did. It felt warm, and I pulled off the ropes. I freed my legs and started kicking like mad. Finally, I got to the shore and collapsed in the warm sand. I remember just looking up at the sky, seeing the sun, and feeling safe. Then I woke up and knew it was all a dream, but I felt relieved. This time she was more ready to talk about what these images now might mean for her, and we explored her feelings, feeling of helplessness as she was pulled away from everything that was warm and solid in her life, and then her relief as she finally reached the shore again. At the beginning of our next session, Anne handed me a large envelope. She had found the picture of her with her mother, which had been taken when Anne was about 2 years old. She told me that after her father remarried, he had destroyed anything that reminded him of her mother and had never spoken about her. It was only after she had left for college that she was finally able to visit her mother's parents, who gave her this photograph. But in the envelope, there were two pictures, an old snapshot and a large print of the same image. Anna had scanned the old photo into her computer and then deleted the figure of her father, who had been lurking in the background. I want to hold on to the part of memory that gives me warmth. She said, I don't need to be tied to my father's mean wife or to his grief. The enlargement centered on little Annie and her mother, nestling together in an old-fashioned wing chair. Annie was in her mother's lap, pointing excitedly toward the camera with her right hand, while her left hand held onto her mother's encircling arms. Her mother was gazing down at her and smiling. It was a moment suspended in time. The child secure in her mother's embrace, yet eager to reach out. The mother delighted in her daughter. As I handed the photos back to her, Anne said, I can see a certain sadness in her eyes. Her mother's cancer had been discovered when Anne was about a year and a half old. I can only imagine how horrible that was for her, knowing she wouldn't be able to care for me or see me grow up. We sat together, just staying with that feeling of clarity. In the weeks ahead, Anne would also come to reflect on how difficult it must have been for her father. Her grandparents had told her how much he had loved her mother, and how he had fallen apart when she died. I guess he did the best he could after she was gone. She said to me one day. He was so young himself, born 26, but I still can't understand why he just disappeared and why he chose such monster for this new wife. When my mom died, in many ways, um, uh, so so did my dad. Annie's grief was finally taking its natural course as she opened to all of her feelings: love, loss, confusion, anger, and even forgiveness. Annie decided to stay in therapy beyond the few months she had committed to originally. As her work continued, Annie's life began to have a sense of vitality that had been missing for decades. She began to take time to exercise regularly. Her palpitation gradually reduced in frequency, then ceased altogether. She started to see some of her colleagues socially outside the office. She also found the time to just be with her daughters, and she discovered that there were things they enjoyed doing together. It turned out that the girls like art projects too. Instead of catching up at the office every weekend, she made it a point to plan outings with them. I know they won't be around much longer, she told me. Anne feels more present in the room now. She holds herself differently. She seems at home in her body. Her movements more fluid and relaxed. She has started to wear her hair down, flowing over her shoulder, and she has told me that she no longer feels empty inside. Prisoners of the past, memory, trauma, and recovery. Recovery. I was with Bruce, waiting for skirmish with the enemy, and thankful that he saw me as a friend, not a foe.
Foe.
Foe. The green and brown paint plastered on his face made him look more like a 4-year-old art play than a 34-year-old veteran. But the terror in his eyes and the power in his 200-pound, 6'4" frame made our situation all too real. Bruce was one of the many men who had returned from Vietnam scared from the inside. Our paths came together under a bed at the Brentwood Veterans Hospital in Los Angeles, whether he had been hospitalized for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, a condition that had been given this name only a few years earlier. I was a new psychiatric training, and Bruce was one of my first patients. Nothing had prepared me for the moment when he grabbed my ankles, pulled me into his cave, thrust a broomstick into my hand, and shouted, shoot them if they come to get us. There was no question that Bruce was lost in something aching to his imagination. But this wasn't 4-year-old's play. It felt to me as if it was some sort of memory gone wild, some piece of his past that was quite alive and present in his mind, terrifying him. And now me, he peered into the room for what seemed an entire season of tropical monsoons, sometimes spotting the enemy coming out toward us, then driving them away with his broomstick. He was thankful for my help, he said. He thought we made a good team. After an hour of terror and anxious vigilance, Bruce's grip on his stick finally loosened. His tight, harsh voice went silent. His face softened.
Softened.
Softened. His face softened, and then he began to whimper softly. I helped him out from under the bed and found a safe haven for him under the cover. I sat by his side until he fell asleep, shaken and confused. I wandered into the nurse's station and told the team nurse what had happened. Oh, yeah, she said, those are just Bruce's flashbacks. She was trying to be helpful. Later that day, I had an hour of scheduled supervision and I asked my professor what in the world a flashback was. A kind of memory from the past that continues to haunt the person in the present. He said, we really don't know how a flashback happens. That's all he could offer. It's all anyone knew at the time. But it left me feeling restless and uncertain. I needed to know more. I had learned about our ability to selectively focus our attention on an imaginary world and suspend our critical judgment in order to enter it fully. Some call this normal dissociation, a kind of feeling suspension of disbelief, of getting lost in imagination. Yeah, it's typical of kids at play. Yeah, and we all do it when we get lost in a book or movie. Yeah, become absorbed in a memory or immerse ourselves in music. Yeah, we narrow the spotlight of attention to one segment of experience, shutting out awareness of other activities of the mind. Of course, in everyday life, we can leave that observed state and come to dinner if we hear the call. But this was different. Bruce didn't seem to experience that hour under the bed as something he was remembering, but rather as something that was actually happening in the present. He could also incorporate new items, the broomsticks, the cave under the bed, me into the experience. This was more than becoming lost in a memory or in imagination. Long ago feelings, sights, sounds, and behavior had become alive in his mind and interwoven with his moment to moment experience. To me, it was clearly a memory, but for him, it had lost, or perhaps never had. Some labeling in his mind that identified it as recollection. Instead, those recollections seemed to be raw mental data, puzzle pieces of the past that had painfully exploded into his perception of the here and now. Until recently, when we have been able to peer into the functions of the brain, we could only make guesses as to the mechanism of memory and the intimate ways our minds create our experience of reality. At the time I met Bruce, this intuitive
Intrusive.
intrusive memories were just the twist of the screw that tightened the clamps around his tormented
Tormented.
tormented mind. These recurring flashbacks were breaking him apart. The next week, I was told that someone had uncovered live grenades under a bush near the entrance to the building where we had holed up under the bed. Bruce denied knowing about them, but he was transferred to the locked ward after the staff discovered grenade pins in the cubby in his room. A short time later, he was transferred to another hospital, and I never had a chance to work with him again. I still wonder into what distortion of memory those grenades might have fit. How memories form and reappear. In the years since my encounter with Bruce, a great deal of research has given us a framework for understanding and treating PTSD. By the late 1980s, a number of research centers had contributed pieces to the larger puzzle of how memory works in the brain. Those early findings have helped to build the inner personal neurobiology view of trauma and trauma treatment that I'll present to you here. It may be too late to help Bruce, but we now have tens of thousands of soldiers returning from new wars whose minds urgently need healing, and there are even more people whose unintegrated trauma intrudes into their daily activities and relationships, overwhelms their ability to cope, and limits their lives, often without their conscious understanding of what is happening. Allison, whom you'll meet later in this chapter, was one of them. She was one of my first long-term patients, and her treatment brought me closer to seeing how trauma can fragment a life and how it can be resolved. To understand traumatic memories, it helps to go back to the basic of what memory is and how it is embedded in the brain. Memory is the way an experience at one time influences us at a future time. As I discussed in neuroplasticity in new nutshell, Experience for the brain means neural firing. When we have an experience, cluster of neurons are activated to send electrical signals down their long lengths. The gene activation and protein production triggered by neural firing can create new synapses, strengthening existing ones, alter the packets of neurotransmitters that are released, or the receptors that receive their messages, and even stimulate the growth of new neuron. It can also thicken the insulating myelin sheet around connecting fibers, increasing the speed of electrical transmission. Neurons that fire together wire together. In memory terminology, an experience becomes encoded by the firing of neuron in groups. The more often these neural cluster or neural net profiles fire, the more likely they are to fire together in the future. And the trigger that cues the retrieval of memory can be an internal event, a thought or a feeling, or an external event that the brain associates in some way to happening in the past. The brain acts as an anticipation machine that continually prepares itself for the future based on what has happened in the past. Memories shape our current perceptions by creating a filter through which we automatically anticipate what will happen next. In this way, the patterns we encode in memory actually bias our ongoing perception and change the way we interact with the world. Here is a key fact about memory retrieval that has been understood in detail scientifically only for the past 25 years. When we retrieve an encoded memory from storage, it does not necessarily enter our awareness as something coming from the past. Take, for example, your memory for riding a bicycle. When you get on your bike, you just ride. You fire off cluster of neurons that let you pedal, balance, and brake. That is one kind of memory. An event in the past, learning to ride, has influenced your behavior in the present. Riding the bike today doesn't feel like a memory of the day you learned to ride. If, on the other hand, I asked you to recall the first time you rode a bicycle, you might pause for a moment, scan your memory storage, and perhaps come up with an image of your father or big sister running beside you. The fear and pain you felt when you fell, or the exhilaration when you made it to the corner. When these retrieval profiles fill your awareness, you know that you are recalling something from the past. This is also memory, but it is different from the memory that enables you to ride your bike. These two kinds of memory processing are interwoven in the normal course of daily life. The kind of memory that enables us to ride the bike is called implicit memory. Our ability to recall the day we were taught to ride is explicit memory. I am stressing this distinction because in everyday language we use the term memory to refer to what is technically explicit memory. But recent discoveries in the field of brain science allow us to understand the difference between implicit and explicit memory, as well as to grasp how implicit memory can influence our present without our awareness that something from the past is affecting us. It is these discoveries that have finally offered us an understanding of how bruises, flashbacks may have developed. Let's start at the beginning with implicit memories we lay down even before we are born. Implicit memory, the basic puzzle piece of mental experience. So right now, what is happening? Like there is one thing that I felt when I completed this paragraph, that before some days of my challenge when I was reading on live streaming. I was getting throat drying up. There were some of the things that I wanted to again these. I was seeing time again and again, like when my 2 hour will be end. Likewise, there were just so many times that I was feeling like I literally wanted to end the live streaming because I just want to end this and go somewhere else doing the things because I want to do other things. That is why I was doing, like I was feeling those things. But right now, I literally feel don't anything. Like I literally didn't feel anything. I was just concentrating on the things. I was just enjoying the thing, enjoying in the sense I was just being present. I was not wanted to end or like just complete my 2 hours. Just like I was just being here. I don't want to think. Like I was not thinking anything. Like my mind thought, okay, I have to do this. So just keep ourselves silent. Just enjoy this because you can't run time fast or solo. Yeah, it is like time will be time and time will go on its own pace. The thing will only change, it's the state of your minds, how it feels. That is the only thing. So my subconscious mind, my mind has changed myself that oh, you have to sit here, you need to enjoy, time will go, it's automatically when 2 hours will be ended, your live stream will be end and you can go anywhere, just enjoy. Why you are forcing yourself to go somewhere else? So this is how like I'm feeling right now. When my wife was pregnant with each of our two children, I used to sign, I used to sing to them in the home. It was an old Russian song that my grandmother had sung to me. A child's song about her love for life and for her mother. May there always be sunshine. May there always be good times. May there always be Mama. And may there always be me. I sang it in Russian and in English during the last trimester of pregnancy when I knew the auditory system was wired up enough to register sound coming through the amniotic fluid. Then in the first week after each child was born, I invited a colleague over for a research study. I know it wasn't controlled, but it was fun. Without revealing the prenatal song, prenatal song, I sang three different songs in turn. No doubt about it. When the babies heard the familiar song, their eyes opened wider and they became more alert so that my colleague could easily identify the change in their attention level. A perceptual memory had been encoded. Now my kids aren't let missing. I probably sounded better underwater. We encoded implicit memory throughout our lives, and in the first 18 months, many researchers believe we encode only implicitly. An infant encodes the smells and tastes, the sounds of home and parents, the sensation in the belly when she's hungry, the bliss of warm milk, the terror of loud and angry voices, the way her mother's body stiffens in response to a certain relative's arrival. Implicit memory encodes our perceptions, our emotions, our body sensations. And as we get older, such behavior as learning to crawl or walk or talk or ride a bike. Implicit memory also harnesses the brain's capacity to generalize from experience, which is how we construct mental models from repeated events. This is one step beyond association of neurons that fire together. The brain summarizes and combines similar events into one a prototypical representation known as schema. Like if a little boy's mother hugs him every evening when she comes home from work, he'll have a model in his mind that his mother's return will be filled with affection and a connection. Finally, implicit memory creates something called priming, in which the brain readies itself to respond in a certain fashion. When his mother arrives home, the boy anticipates a hug. Not only he is his internal world primed for perceiving that loving gesture, he'll move his arm in anticipation when he hears her car in the driveway. As we get older, priming continues to operate with more complex behaviors. If you have learned to swim, when you get your bathing suit on, your behavior repertoire
Repertoire.
repertoire for swimming is primed and ready to engage when you jump in the pool. These six domains of implicit memory, perceptions, emotions, bodily sensation, behavior, and mental models, and priming are like the basic puzzle piece of the mind that form the foundation for how the past continues to influence us in the present. After an experience is over and we move ahead down the river of time, now, what remains are these synaptic linkage that shape and filter out our present experiences and sensations. Now, drawing on these implicit elements from the past, the brain, our association, organ, and anticipation machine continually readies us for the future. Here are the three unique features of implicit memory. You don't need to use focal conscious attention for the creation, the encoding of implicit memory. When an implicit memory emerges from storage, you do not have the sensation that something is being recalled from the past, and implicit memory does not require participation of a part of the brain called the hippocampus. Going more deeply into each of these features will lead us into the mystery of Bruce's flashback. If you had been a volunteer in one of the classic studies of the divided attention, it would have gone something like this. The researchers gives you a set of headphones that play a different soundtrack into each ear and asks you to pay attention to the left side only. After a minute, she asks what you heard. Someone reciting a list of zoo animals. You say, what gender was the voice? Male, you reply, fine, and what did you hear in the right ear? Just some vague mumblings musing. And could you tell if it was a male or female voice? No, not even that. But then the researchers administer what is called an indirect memory test, which reveals that the information from the right earpiece did indeed enter your mind and influence your memory, your implicit memory. You cannot recall that your right ear picked up a woman's voice reading flower names, but if you are given a set of partial word cues, such as re, you are more likely to fill in the blanks with the letters O and S to create rows than any other set of letters, even though you don't know why. If you had heard a list of food items, it might have just come to you to write in I and C for rice. This is priming at work in your language centers. When your unattended right ear took in the data, your brain registered it in a form of perceptual implicit memory. It does this without passing the information through the hippocampus, the seahorse shaped cluster of neurons in the limbic region that integrates widely separated areas of the brain. Direct attention harnesses the hippocampus. Indirect attention that does not involve your focal conscious attention, encodes the memory without hippocampal involvement. Again, an implicit only memory is experienced in consciousness but is not tagged or felt as something emerging from the past. Now, this is quite different from the idea of unconscious memory, which implies something buried, inaccessible, or repressed and kept from everyday awareness. Reactivated implicit memory is fully conscious. It just lacks the sensation of recall. This peculiar qualitative experience of implicit memory can be hard to grasp even for neurology students. So let me share a time honored story about a 19th century neurologist named Clafford and his unfortunate female patient. It seems that Madame X, the patient, could chat about everyday events with her doctors, but if left the room and returned a few minutes later, she would not recognize him or remember their conversation. He would have now to reintroduce himself formally and begin again. One day, Dr. Clafford hid a pin in his hand so that when he greeted Madame X and shook her hand, she received a sharp prick that caused her to cry out. At their next meeting, Dr. Clafford introduced himself as usual and then extended his hand. Madame X pulled back and refused to shake it. When asked why, she replied, "Sometimes doctors do things that hurt you." I'm just checking any concurrent viewers. Here is a mental model based on implicit. Let me check it again. Here is a mental model based on implicit memory. Sometimes doctors do things that hurt you. It presents itself as a fully conscious belief, but its origins in the past were not accessible to Madam's X awareness. The implicit mental model that each of us has filter our ongoing perceptions and prejudge our experiences, and yes, they likely contribute to all sorts of attitudes and beliefs we carry around, whether about ourselves or other people. Our implicit model can manifest as feelings in our bodies, an emotional reaction, a perceptual bias in our mind's eyes, or a behavioral pattern of response. We do not realize we are being biased by the past. We may feel with conviction that our beliefs and reactions are based on our present good judgment. If for example your parent ignored you when you came home all excited about being on the softball team at school, that sensation of disapproval might generalize to other sports, then return when your own children become interested in athletics, or perhaps your parents conscientiously avoided overt negative comments about people of other races, religion, or sexual orientation, but you still might have picked up non-verbal signs of irritation, distress, or disgust if you brought home a friend of a different background. While these implicit mental models exist in all of us, with Mindsight, we can begin to free ourselves from the powerful and insidious ways they create our here and now perceptions and beliefs. Seeing deeply and clearly into the inner world also gives us the opportunity to focus our awareness in a way that promotes the integration of memory. When memory is integrated, this separated implicit puzzle pieces of the past are linked together into the more complex and flexible and adaptive form of explicit memory. Explicit memory begins to emerge and become observable by the second birthday. And while preschoolers may have quite vivid memories, most adults don't recall much about events before age 5 or 6. This phenomenon is called childhood amnesia. Explicit encoding depends on the ability to focus attention and integrate elements of an experience into factual or autobiographical representations. This allows us to recreate a scaffold of knowledge about the world, others, and ourselves that we can recall at will, reflect upon, and categorize in a new and flexible ways. Parents instinctively strengthen this capacity in young children when they encourage them to talk about yesterday's trip to the zoo or who they saw at the playground that morning. When we retrieve an explicit memory, we do have the feelings that we are bringing something from the past into our awareness. If I ask you to recall your last birthday, you may tell me where you were, what day of the week it was, and aim to celebrate with you. Your internal images are linked both to facts and to a sense of yourself within that particular experience or episode that took place in the past. These are the two forms of explicit memory, factual and episodic. Remembering yourself is a single episodes of your life, and as you may remember from Stuart's story, some people recall one form more easily than the other. As life goes on, we accumulate episodic memories into larger filter or clusters arranged along a timeline. This clustered set of episodic memories is called autobiographical memory. Now you can tell a sad or funny story comparing your 10th birthday to your 20th. You can construct a coherent narrative of your life with the maturation of the part of the brain that is required of explicit memory encoding, the hippocampus. We are able to begin to create our factual and episodic memories. The hippocampus grows across the lifespan as it continues to lay down the explicit memory that enables us to know about the world and ourselves. The hippocampus, the master puzzle piece assembler. If you recall our hand model of the brain, the hippocampus is located the limbic region on both sides of the brain. The left side works primarily with facts, while the right specializes in self-related episodic memory. And the hippocampus works closely with the other limbic areas, such as the fear-generating amygdala. There is something going on outside. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's going on. Generating amygdala to couple the details of an experience with the emotional tone and meaning of that event. It also has extensive linkage that enable it to combine previously separated neural firing pattern in the limbic region and throughout the cortex perceptual and planning areas. In the left hemisphere, it builds our factual and linguistic knowledge. In the right, it organizes the building blocks of our life story according to time and topic. All this hippocampal work makes the search engine of memory retrieval more efficient. We can think of the hippocampus as a master puzzle piece assembler which draws together the separate piece of images and a sensation of implicit memory into the assembled pictures of factual and autobiographical memory. It requires focused attention to activate the hippocampus to literally link together the neural distributed puzzle pieces of implicit memory. When the images and the sensation of experience remain an implicit only form, when they have not been integrated by the hippocampus, they remain is unassembled neural desire. They are not tagged as representation derived from the past, and they do not enter our life story as the unfolding narrative that explicitly defines who we are. As such, implicit only memories continue to shape the subjective feeling we have of our here and now realities and now realities. The sense of who we are. We are now who we are moment to moment. But this influence is not accessible to our awareness. We have to assemble these implicit puzzle pieces into explicit form in order to be able to reflect on their impact on our lives. Dr. Clafford's patient, Madam X, could not encode experiences into explicit memories because of lesion near her hippocampus. I once met a man at a dinner party who had a similar condition. He politely told me that he had suffered bilateral hippocampal strokes, and that when I returned from stepping away to get some water, I shouldn't be insulted. insulted that he wouldn't remember who I was. Indeed, when I came back, we started our introduction again, but it doesn't take permanent, long-term damage to impair explicit memory. I once had a patient who told me the following story. He was about to take an overnight flight across country, and he asked his internist for something to help him sleep on the plane. The internist gave him a new sleeping pill that had just come on the market, and my patient took double the prescribed dose, hoping to get a good night's rest. When he returned from the 3 day trip, he had no explicit recall of anything following the first plane. Right, even though the people he had met at his destination assured him he had seemed entirely awake and aware. The pharmaceutical company that made the drug later halted the starting dose. Like some sleeping medication, alcohol is notorious for being able to shut off the hippocampus temporarily. Alcohol-based blackouts are not the same as fainting. The person is awake, though impaired, but does not encode experience into explicit form. People who have blackouts after drinking may not remember how they got home or how they met the person who is in bed with them the next morning. Rage can also shut off the hippocampus, and people with over control with out of control anger may not be lying when they say they don't recall what they said or did in that altered state of mind. Recent research suggests that other states of emotion beyond those we can normally tolerate may also shut off the hippocampus by way of the high levels of stress they create. Excessive stress hormone release in a state of terror, for example, may disrupt hippocampal integration. When I first read this research, I realized I might finally be able to answer the question that had
Plate.
plagued me since I first met Bruce. Now, what is a flashback? Now, a flashback might be the result of the activation of an implicit only memory of a traumatic experience. The perceptions, emotions, bodily sensation, and the behavior of a past time were fully in Bruce's awareness, but they were not tagged with the feeling that they were coming from the past because the hippocampus had been blocked. The raw moment to moment fragments of the experience remained as free floating implicit puzzle pieces in Desiree.
Disarray.
Desiree. The brain circuitry that encodes experience into perceptions, sensations, and emotions remained active. But Bruce would not know that these internal images and sensations were coming from the past. His flashback would flood him with an implicit only memory reactivation before the day when Bruce trauma, memory, and the brain. Before the day when Bruce pulled me under the bed, we had started to explore his experience in Vietnam. He began one session by saying that he didn't want to talk about that time, but he knew that he should. He was one of only a few survivors from his unit. As he spoke, his face became narrowed, his eyes seemed to roll upward, and his hands started to shake, haltingly in fractured pieces. The experience emerged in words, in cries, in images Bruce could see and tried to describe now with his hands raised, now covering his eyes in short shouts and in whispers that I can hear to this day. Bruce's best friend from his hometown, Jake, was in his platoon. They were on patrol near the demilitarized
Demilitarized.
demilitarized zone when they were
Ambushed.
ambushed Jake was hit in the head, bruised, shot in the leg, and unable to move. Held his friend's slim body. Jake died in his arms as rescue helicopters were coming in, with explosion all around him. Bruce just went blank. The next image he could assemble was the hospital ward in Sagan. The records showed that the medical team worried he had a brain injury. Bruce was unable to speak for weeks. Once he was returned to the states, Bruce tried to fit into civilian life. His leg healed, but his mind was fractured. 10 years after his discharge from the military, he was admitted to the Veterans Hospital just before I began my training there. What had happened in Bruce's brain? The best science can offer is conceptual framework, supported but not yet proven by research. Under the stress of the extreme trauma he had undergone, Bruce had been filled with terror and collapsed from shock. Under such highly stressful conditions, the fight, flight, freeze response floods the body with the hormone cortisol, a chemical that has been shown a block hippocampal function. As I discussed above, anything that can temporarily shut down the hippocampus can also block the formation of the explicit memories, an effect similar to that of alcohol or sleeping pills. This would have created the equivalent of a blackout, a chemical induced form of disassociation, but the chemical involved was cortisol, not drug or alcohol. Paradoxically, the same intense reaction that led to the blackout and to the blockage of explicit memory would simultaneously heighten the encoding of implicit memory by way of the amygdala's release of another flight freeze chemical. Adrenaline, high levels of adrenaline act to sear into implicit memory. Traces of the original traumatic experience, the feeling of terror, the perceptual details, the behavioral reactions, characteristics of fight, flight, freeze, and any bodily sensation of pain that were suffered. One more thing that I really want to say related to my live streaming videos and all those things, that in order to continue something you need to have reward systems. Reward in the sense you have to reward, and that should be like inside you in the sense reward in the sense like you shouldn't go and take something reward, like let's say you like to eat chocolate and you did something, you are going to take that chocolate. It's not kind of that rewards. Reward in the sense it should make you feel fulfilled, like it should make you feel something great, better than yesterday. Let's say, what does it mean by rewards? What does it mean by, like, in my perspective? So I've been recording videos, as you can go on my channel and see, there were some of the videos which are very vanilla in the sense I don't have anything in that editing specifically, and it looks very weird in the sense very vanilla, like as it is, like as I am. There is no any kind of special skills that represents myself in those videos. But yesterday I recorded one of the video, I added editing in that, like I did good than before videos, and it made me feel very good. So that was one of my reward, that I am working on the things and it made me grow even by 0.1%. That made me feel good. So it was just a reward for me. Like what I did, the queue was, there is no queue I guess, like I have routine, this itself a queue, and that queue made me to do these things like recording and all those things. When I recorded, I created the video, uploaded it, and the sense of fulfillment, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of that I'm growing by 1%, that was my reward, and it made me to do it again and again. So this is the reward. So you should think about your reward, what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel good when you complete something. And there should be some cue in the sense, by seeing something you triggered something. Let's say if I see the chocolate and it's very handy to me, then I'll eat that. The cue was seeing the chocolate, and reward was eating that particular chocolate and feeling its like taste, or once you eat something you feel something, so that feeling is a reward itself. So you can understand or find your rewards when you do something and implement on your videos. That way you will be able to continue the things, you will be able to create videos, you will be able to upload videos on YouTube, you will be able to do live streaming, you will be able to act on your routines. That is how it works. It's cue routine reward system that I read in Atomic Habit and the Power of Habit. You can also read, which is very good book, cue routine and rewards. It will make you do it will make you to do the things. Trauma may also shut down the hippocampus temporarily through the mechanism of dissociation. In the face of an overwhelming experience or a threat to our survival, when there is no possible physical escape, not only do we release high levels of memory blocking stress hormones, but the brain may find another form of escape by aiming the narrow channel of focal attention away from the threat. While we don't say it know exactly how this happens, awareness becomes completely absorbed in some non-dramatic aspects of the environment or in the interior landscape of the imagination. I don't know if dissociation was a part of Bruce's response to the ambush that killed his friend, but many people who have suffered trauma can clearly recall the dissociation that occurred during the event. Several years after I worked with Bruce, I treated a young woman who had been sexually assaulted at age 14 when she was stabbed by three men in an old storage shed. As the attack began, she told me she noticed some small flowers now poking through the broken siding at the corner of the floor. She focused on them and they grew into a imaginary meadow in her mind. By remaining in that meadow, she averted her conscious awareness from her overwhelming sensation of pain and helplessness. The problem with such survival strategy is that while her immediate awareness was blocked, the temporary disabling of the hippocampus did not block implicit encoding of the experience. 15 years later, when she was taking a shower with her boyfriend, the sound of water on the floor of the shower suddenly triggered a full-scale flashback. It had been raining hard the day of the attack, and the implicit memories came flooding into her awareness as if she were being assaulted then and there by her boyfriend. Fortunately, at the time she came to me for therapy, I had by then incorporated into my work at latest findings about attention, the hippocampus, and the memory, which meant I was able to make sense of her experience and knew what to do to help her. While the hippocampus' role in the integration of memory was being revealed in scientific laboratories, it became apparent to me as a clinician that blocked integration might explain many common PTSD symptoms. Implicit only memories and other cutoffs in the mind could be at the root of hyperarousal symptoms and explosive emotions of numbing disconnections from bodily sensations and feelings of being unreal and of various forms of re-experiencing the original trauma, including flashbacks and recurrent distressing fragmentary recollections of the event while awake. Sleep phenomena such as nightmares and REM disturbance Disturbances are also key features of PTSD, and they offer us another window into the phenomenon of implicitly encoded traumatic memory fragments erupting into our lives years after the events with terrifying power. Before memories can be fully integrated into the cortex as a part of permanent explicit memory, they must go through a process called a consolidation, which seems to depend on the rapid eye movement REM phase of sleep. For many people with PTSD, REM sleep is interrupted, which may be further explanation of why their traumatic memories remain implicit and are experienced as nightmares during sleep or experienced as symptoms while awake, such as those mentioned above. For centuries, the intrusive fragmenting and numbing symptoms of trauma were recognized in soldiers and described in various ways, such as shell shock. The PTSD diagnosis allow us to see the commonalities between battlefield experiences and the traumas that narrow and limit the lives of countless other people. I would like to tell you about two patients who were among those others, harnessing the hippocampus to heal trauma. Allison first came to me at 31 because of persistent relationship problems, including significant sexual difficulties. When I asked her about her childhood, she told me that everything had been fine, aside from her parents' divorce when she was 3. Her mother had remarried when she was 5 and had two more children. After that, family life had been normal. I wasn't sure what normal actually meant, but I thought we would wait and see. There was plenty to explore in her present life. A few months into therapy, she brought up a medical problem that had been plugging
Plaguing.
plaguing that had been plaguing her for some time. She had intermittent back pain, she told me, and now it was getting much worse. She was a fine arts teacher at a local school, and her pain was making it more and more difficult to work. And she had consulted an orthopedist who recommended surgery. But Allison thought she was too young to take such a drastic step, and she had read somewhere that back pain was often related to stress. She wanted to know what I thought. I suggested that we try to body scan moving upward from her feet, and that she just pay attention to her sensation. When we got to her back, she quickly became lost in terror. She recalled the images of being at neighbor's house one night, and then of their son's friend coming in drunk from a party and trying to have sex with her on the other corner of the ping pong table. He had jammed her back repeatedly into the table edge. As we explored this recollection over a series of sessions, it gradually became clear to her that the attack was not the son's friend, but her own stepfather. With that realization, Alison's pain went away and never returned. She cancelled her scheduled surgery. I know you may think this is not possible, and if I hadn't been there myself or experienced similar therapeutic
Therapeutic.
therapeutic situation many times by now I might fail the same way. And in fact, this was no magic cure because Allison's revelation was just the beginning of a great deal of hard work to rebuild her life. Memory is not like a photocopy machine. When we retrieve memory, what we are recalling may not be accurate. The retrieval activates a neural net profile similar to but not identical with the one created at the time of encoding. Memories can indeed be distorted. We can have an accurate recollection of the gist as when Alison remembered she had been assaulted, but the details may not be correct. In this case, over a long period of time, Alison came to clarify details of her life narrative that were more horrific and painful than they first appeared. Allison's memory retrieval was blocked for nearly 16 years. Then, what was initially recalled was distorted in a way that served to preserve the good image of someone important in Allison's life, her stepfather. Many trauma victims struggle with these issues of accuracy. The reality is that memory is suggestible and many layered. Fortunately, external corroboration
Corroborations.
corroborations are sometimes available to navigate these uncertain waters. Several months after Allison's Ben went away, she attended a family reunion. There, her younger half sister and half brother, whom she hadn't seen in 2 years, had the courage to tell her when she asked them if they knew anything about what had happened at party that they had witnessed the assault, had witnessed the two were victims of abuse. You have probably noticed that Allison's initial distortions also protected an even more important person in her life, her mother. Why hadn't Allison gone to her mother after her stepfather's attack, even if she had felt too ashamed to speak? Now, why hadn't her mother picked up that something was wrong? When families do not offer a place for children to express their feelings and recall what happened after an overwhelming event, their implicit only memory remain in disintegrated form, and they have no way to make sense of their experience. As we discovered in our work together, Allison's family had become a zone of silence long before the night of the ping pong table. Now her stepfather had been intrusive in various ways almost from the time to time he married her mother. Her mother had sometimes turned a blind eye and sometimes even facilitated the abuse. In effect sacrificing Allison to her husband and her new family. These kind of early and repeated abuse, coupled with the lack of anyone to turn to for safety, is now known to underlie the development of dissociative disorders. At the very core of herself, Alison was unable to know explicit what she knew implicitly all too well. She was unable to make sense of her life story. Allison's therapy continued for many years, and here I can give you only the broad steps of our journey. Our goal was not only to integrate her disruptive memories, but also to help her navigate her current relationships and remain present in the face of the ongoing stresses in her life. Allison needed to build the skills of resilience and a personal strength after her betrayal by those closest to her. Now, how could she learn to protect herself and at the same time learn to trust others? There is one more thing, as I'm saying it again and again. Now, once I completed my paragraph, reading a paragraph, uh, I was having some of the experiences or memories. Like as I'm reading, like there is something whenever in our brain, if you get something in childhood that reflects in our like a future. So there was some of with me like as a friend. I do remember about them that they are having same thing in the sense the memory itself, like it is likewise. There is something, yeah. I'm not able to exactly explain what it is, but definitely I'll make videos on this as well because it's very interesting. The brain itself, I'll have good explanation, good like editing and all those things, and I'll try to explain the things because I really like to read about brain because it makes us grow. If you understand the brain, then definitely you'll be able to like you'll be able to understand your behavior and you will be able to change your behavior if you don't like it. Don't like in the sense, if you want to do something, that then you'll be able to do that thing just by using your brain, how you can do it. That is how it works, as usual. In in my own mind, I imagined the sequence of resolution going something like these: attachment, betrayals, and traumatic experiences produce impairments to integration. In the domain of memory, this results in implicit puzzle pieces remaining in disintegrated form. These implicit only pieces of the past intrude on the present, creating re-experiencing events such as flashbacks and back pain avoidance. Without realizing why, Allison never played table tennis or pool, and numbing, which was at the core of her sexual problems. This fragmented experience needed first to be integrated into explicit memory and then incorporated into much larger sense of who Allison was. We would explore the unresolved memory representations, but with a dual focus of awareness. This means that while one focus of awareness is on here and now, another is on there and then, we would develop a set of resources and keep those readily accessible in the present moment, even as she and I moved into the second focus of awareness, the memory the memories themselves, the implicit reactivations. My job was to help Alison maintain a sense that we were together, that she was not lost in the past, even when her awareness was on the sensation of implicit memory. If she could move in and out of the past flexibly and with less pain, she would feel safer. As background to the work we needed to do on her journey to integrate memory, I taught Alison about the brain, the mind, and memory, and as I would come to do with virtually all of my patients. I also taught her basic techniques such as breath awareness and helped her develop her safe place imagery. Allison's favorite technique was a variation on the wheel of awareness. I asked her to visualize a file cabinet in a locked room in an imagined house of her mind. In his file cabinet was locked the memory of whatever we were working on, especially when that memory felt intense and unresolved. She alone had the key to the room and could open the door. She alone had another key to open the file cabinet. At any time she could leave the room, shut the door, and across the hall to another room where she could watch the video of the events. This was before DVDs. Now on a playback machine, she could start, stop, freeze frame, rewind, or fast forward at her will. With this capacity to pull back before she became lost in the implicit world, she was prepared to dive into her sea of memory. Brief immersion in the moment-to-moment sensations of her implicit memory seemed to be essential. Allison needed to be able to connect with and track those long ago bodily experiences, but I didn't want her simply to relive
Relive.
really the trauma. She needed to be aware simultaneously that she was with me, that she was safe, and that she could return at any time to the present and to all of her adult strengths and resources. My old memory mentor, one of my greatest teachers, had a powerful saying: memory retrieval is a memory modifier. In the presence of an attuned other, and with the help of tools such as the feeling cabinet and her peaceful place imagery, Allison could retrieve and make explicit her previously implicit only memories. Unlike a flashback, which seems to ingrain
or disintegrated state more deeply each time it occurs. Now, this dual focus on the memory on and on the self experiencing the memory, which we could call retrieval with reflection and release, seem to harness the hippocampus in a new way. It is now dozen years later. And when I saw Alison recently, she told me her flashbacks and never returned. However, finding a way to embrace the truth did much more than resolve Alison's symptoms as she explored the many layers of her adaptations to the pain of her childhood. Alison wove her newly assembled explicit memories into a larger, more coherent framework for what made Alison Alison. She experienced a new sense of energy and pleasure in her life. She had recast her self not only as someone who had survived but as a person who could thrive. This way of integrating memory seemed to empower Allison, and others seemed to reclaim the authorship of her own story as it was being woven during the course of her hard and courageous internal work. Even if we haven't suffered, repeated, or life-threatening trauma, implicit only memories can become prisons that constrict our lives. Now, one of the most striking examples of this is my patient Elaine. Elaine was a 26-year-old graduate student who came to me about her anxiety over finishing school. She told me right away that she feared she would fall flat on her face. If she accepted the job offer she had already received during her final semester. Over the next few weeks, I tried several approaches to her fear of new challenge and her insecurities about the competitive job market. She was politely receptive to my ideas, but she remained stuck and frozen.
One thing, like our stream is about to end, like it's 4 minutes to go, and I'm saying it on it again and again, because the same thing, the feelings that we have to complete, that we have to achieve. I'm not like focusing right away on the process, but I am getting something, but I don't know about it as usual. As you know that I say every times, after a certain period of time, I'll be literally focused on reading only. I will not see the time because I will be immersed only in reading, because I'm telling my brain again and again, you don't have to look for times, you have to just see and work on the things. That is how it will work. Like let's say if right now I'm seeing it again and again, I can check myself, like I'm looking like I'm looking at time, again and again, again and again, even after reading, like it's about to end, that like 2 hours is going to almost completed now. It's within 3 minutes, so I'm just taking it again and again. So it is just the thing that is like it's completely my feeling, but to my brain I'm telling that you don't have to do this, you have to just read, you have to immerse into it, you have to understand it, you have to talk to the audience, then you'll feel literally good about it. Like when I like talk like this, when I read, when I talk to you, when I understand the things, after that I feel really good about it. And why I'm telling this, because I'm giving a message to my brain that by doing this you'll feel like this. And definitely if I am reading it very concentratingly, seeing it, then literally I feel very good. Even like I'm seeing it again and again on time, that I have to, like it's about to end our live streaming. But the thing is that if I literally focused on the thing, if I literally talk to you guys, and understand the things, after that what happens, like it's like I'm going to be feel I'm not going to be feel, I will feel literally damn good about it, that oh I have achieved this kind of thing, like oh it's like literally good thing. This I'm sharing with you, as well as I'm telling to my brain it happens, I believe on it, it will happen. You will be able to see me after a certain period of time. I will no more see time again and again, because I'll be immersed completely in my reading, into YouTube streamings, and this is how it will make me more feel more good about myself, about my like the things that will
it works. That is how it works. There is one more thing that I wanted to say, that related to book which we are reading. So here it's completely related to our brain, and some of the things that I am literally understanding. And just because of that, there is one thing that I came to know, that we can change our brain. We can call it as plasticity. It's very good. And the thing you can change is that, like, by practicing, by doing awareness, all those things. There is something right now that I'm not getting. I'm just making sentence, I guess my brain is making sentence, but it is the thing, because the time is almost is going to end. So might be just because of that, it is just trying to say it again and again, the same thing. I don't know why it is so, but it's like that. But yeah, that's so awesome. And that's awesome, and that's awesome because I'm very new here. There are lots of things that I have to learn, so might be I miss somewhere else, or might be I'm just mixing up the things. It could be things, but definitely after a certain period of time, as I usually say, everything will be going very smooth. You'll be able to see myself that I am on live streaming, speaking very, point to point. I'm not going anywhere, like losing my track, going here, there, coming back again, talking about these. It will not happen. I do know about it. I do believe on it, and yeah, this will going to be happen. So thank you for watching my live streaming. If you are new here who is watching, just see my progress. If you would like to, if you want to grow with together, like with me, you can see my videos, you can take challenges, you can, like, do the same thing as I'm doing. Just try it out, and you will be able to see yourself how you are going. Like, you can, like, reflect on your past experiences, you can have strategies, you can have your own things, like, as you. But what is working for me right now, that taking challenges on YouTube, recording myself, doing live streamings, it is just making myself to do the things, to read, to record myself, to thrive on other things. It is just making me to do the things. That is why I'm doing it, and it is making me very excited about it. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. It could be live streaming or any recorded video. So I'm going to end this live streaming. Thank you very much.